visited the outer region. Is it the outer axis, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was, yeah. And he talked about renovating schools in that region. And then it got me thinking, since the return of democracy in 1999, or should I say since 1999, the River State government, which has seen different administrations, have, you know, argued that they have offered quality education by building or renovating schools. And, some have gone further to say that they have employed quality teachers. However, I want to look at the conversation from are we really having quality education, in the sense that education goes beyond brick and mortar, right? It goes beyond, building or renovating classrooms or buying desks. There are several other intricacies that make for quality education. For instance, you need modern era teachers. I'm talking teachers who are, conversant with the modern educational trends, like, the digital space, IT, and the likes. We need computerized classrooms. And when you look at the private schools, I'm talking basic education now, right? When you look at the private schools and you see how far they have gone, can we say that our public schools can compete? Now, I'm not talking about whether we've got brilliant students in public schools or not. Of course we do. And, some of these brilliant students make do with what they see in the public schools. However, can we say, when we look at the standards, we look at some of these private schools and what they offer, can we say our public schools, with all of the renovations and all of the building of schools we have been doing since 1999, can we say that our public schools are up to standard? Now, I should bring to your mind, or I should remind you that we pay taxes, right? And our taxes are supposed to equip public schools. Our taxes are supposed to ensure that education thrives, and which of course is our right, our human right. We have a right to education. And because we pay taxes, these are the things that we should naturally, or should I say basically, have. However, we celebrate every time there's a renovation of a school or there is a building of a school. By the way, during Peter Odili's administration, we built schools. Of course, very, very publicly, we saw schools built or renovated under the Amachi's administration. We saw schools renovated under Wike's administration as well. And now we're back to renovation of schools under Siminalayi Fubara's administration. But can we say that with the renovation of schools, the standard has improved, or the standard is good? Now, go back in time. Majority of the people in public service right now attended public schools at the basic level. And, at the time, it was said that, yes, we didn't have the international standard tools or standard learning equipment, but we had a good system at the time, so to argue. Can we say that is being reflected in our modern public schools at the basic level? So I've got a few questions I want to ask this morning, and I hope you indulge. And the first question is, can we ever see our public schools competing with the private schools at the basic level in terms of standard? Can we ever see that happen in River State? And if you say yes, how do you think we can achieve such, where we have our schools at a standard level, or competing at a standard level, once again, in terms of equipment, like having computerized classrooms, having teachers who are well trained with modern subjects, or well trained in modern subjects? Do you think that's a possibility, right? And then I'm also looking at it. I don't know if you remember the story from 2 weeks ago, where in HA, in a particular community in HA, it was reported that the roof, the ceiling had collapsed on a 14-year-old Fabian Chinda, I don't know if you remember that story. So yes, indeed, we need to refurbish dilapidated school buildings. I mean, if not for safety reasons, at least for conducive learning. But do you also think that renovation or building of schools equate with standard or equates with quality education, right? And this is the conversation I want to start with. I know when you look at the developed countries, like we like to say, in these countries, they take education very seriously. In these countries, they spend so much money on education. I mean, if you look at it from the tertiary level, they spend a lot, hundreds of billions on on research and development. However, we want to develop, and the narrative that is spreading in our society is that school is scam. How do we change the narrative? Could it be we can improve on the quality, on the style, on the standard, on how we perceive education in Nigeria? So maybe you can say, maybe you can argue I'm trying to set an agenda on Hello Potaka today. However, the agenda basically is, should we continue with the narrative of brick and mortar, of very beautiful classrooms, or should we go further, talking about the learning processes, the learning standards? And if we were to have a better public school space, would you rather have your children attend a private school, or would you rather have your children attend public schools? Because once again, remember, the notable figures from the past attended public schools. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, and 0817-923-0007. These are the call numbers. I'd like to hear from you. You can send your messages via WhatsApp, and the number via WhatsApp is 0809-0306-416. Once again, I'd like to get, I've asked series of questions, right? And usually my shows are like that. I have so many questions I like to ask. If I can remember some of the questions. Number one, do you think we need to push the conversations on education beyond building and renovating schools in Rivers State, especially in the rural areas? Do you think we need to push? And don't get me wrong, once again, I also think we need to rebuild or renovate dilapidated structures, or even build new schools so we can accommodate as many people who are not in the classrooms. However, do you think that building new schools equates standard of learning or quality education? Do we even have teachers who are equipped in modern subjects, or equipped with modern knowledge or modern style of teaching? Another question. Do you ever see a time when our public schools will compete in terms of standards with the private sector? Do you ever see? I'm not talking of brilliance or intelligent students now. I'm saying standard tools of learning, right? Quality lab rooms, classrooms with computers like we see in other countries. Do you think it's possible? These and many more questions as the show continues. But let me take my first call this morning. Oh, I missed that one. Please do call back. 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, and